so chipper all the time too. So I love it. Please welcome a wonderful guest. Josh Ochs is here joining us now, and we've been wanting to get you here on our show because what you're about to talk about with all of us is such very important information. We're talking about social media, which just controls everything, and especially the dangers with our kids, and you've got some great tips for parents. So welcome.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. So I travel around the country teaching kids how to be safe so they can shine online. So we have a positive message. We teach students that you should be on social media with your parents' permission so that when a college eventually searches for you online, they find a positive brand. They find the person they're looking for, and it's a three-dimensional version of who you are. So we show students, if you're going to be on Instagram with your mom's support and suggestions and approval, first of all, then let's start using this as a positive tool. Rather than telling them, don't do this, we tell them, here, let's start to build out, where do you want to go to college someday? Talk about their future, and then use that as a way to get them there.
Mm-hmm. Like it's almost them building their image. So whatever you put out there, good or bad, it's going to say something about it.
And the reason for that is, as you know, because you're a mom of two kids, and we were just talking about this, you won't always be there where your kids are at, right? You're not going to always be on Snapchat. And so building that wisdom, talking to them about what career do you want to go to? What do you want to do as a major at your dream school? What's your dream major, or what's your dream school that you want to go to? If you get them focusing on their future and using this as a purpose instead of just a pastime, it really, the kid starts thinking on their own and they go, whoa, this is interesting. And then all of a sudden, when you're not there, they're hopefully making a little bit of wiser decisions to get them where they need to go, rather than you having to tell them what not to do.
And what happens, because of course we have more control of our kids when they're young. They're 13, they're impressionable, they're listening to mom and dad usually most of the time. Then what happens when they get into that 14, 15, 16, 17, they're with their friends, and then they have their bigger influencers now are their friends and their peers. So then what happens when you start to kind of lose that and you're not really sure? A lot of parents have written us and said, my kid, I've been looking at their Instagram, but what I didn't realize is they had a different Instagram too.
Yeah.
That's not what I was seeing. And so how do you really talk to your kids? Their frontal lobes aren't developed yet.
Yeah.
They don't understand. To them, when they're 13 and you're talking about college, seems like for us talking about which nursing home we want to go to eventually. You know, it seems so far off, but it's really, as we all know, it's in reality, it's not that far off. But how do you make them understand how important this is?
Yeah, great question. And I love this because this is a little bit of a game changer. So anybody watching this right now, if you're struggling, which is you're totally normal as a human being, nationwide, millions of parents are Googling this problem of how do we talk to the negative effects of social media, the positive effects of social media. These are things that parents are wondering. I have one key takeaway. If there's one thing that parents can do, and this is a little bit of a game changer. Let's have some fun with this.
I'll write it down.
Rather than telling students what not to do, and rather than just taking the device away, one of the key takeaways is go to Google with your kid and search for them online. Search for their first and last name and see what comes up. There's going to be a lot of things that are changed when this happens. And this is one of the key takeaways that you're seeing parents do more and more. One thing happens, first of all, moms, you are awesome for telling your student, hey, it's going to be out there forever. Be careful what you put online, right? But what the kids don't understand is, my mom doesn't want me to be on here. She isn't explaining why. She has the right heart, but she's not explaining why. If you go to Google and you see what amazing journalists are writing about things that went wrong, things that went right online, and you start using Google as the bad person, and then the mom, the dad are really just the cheerleader going, look at that, what do you think of that? And then you Google your kid's name, other people are going to come up. We've done this, right? We've searched. You and I have different Google results because we're online a lot, probably.
Sure, right.
But the normal person, if you're normal, you're going to have other people come up in your Google results, and that's totally fine. But when your kid sees other people come up, the first thing a child's going to say is, Mom, that's not me. That person that was arrested or that is inappropriate, that's not me. And then it opens up a dialogue, and now you can go, all right, so what should your Google results look like? We're talking about where you want to go to college. I know that seems far off, but it's not for some students.
It's not. Well, it's not.
It shouldn't be. At 8 years old is a great time to start talking about dream colleges, schools, not stressing them. But once you've had that discussion, now you go to Google and you start saying, well, what do you want this to look like? Why don't we start building something amazing? At the age of 12 years old, 10 to 12, we suggest that every family really has a discussion about what do you want to end up online on your Google results? Let's start taking group photos of volunteer projects. Let's start a private portfolio. There's free websites out there. There's Google Sites, there's Wix, there's all these things you could build. And your student can start to put together something that's a digital version of their college application before they need it. And what that does is that gets the kid thinking, rather than my mom being the bad person talking about what could go wrong, the kid's going, whoa, I need to shine online. I have a dream and I know what I need to do online to get me there. And now all of a sudden they have a little bit of wisdom. Is that going to look good on my presence because everything goes there? Right? So going to Google is one of the biggest key takeaways, to put a little bit of wisdom into that child's brain to get them thinking, wow, the rubber meets the road.
And you're putting it on them and not saying, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
Where it's all been on
and
us
there's
saying, you shouldn't be doing this.
Exactly, and that way there's no shame. It's let's work together. This other person comes up because they have your same name. How do we build out something? One of the key takeaways that we give as we go around the country talking to students is, we talk about safety with parents. We talk about mental health. Your students should be happy online. Those are two most important things first. If your child is not happy, consider being a good parent and taking that device away for a while.
What is a good age, in your opinion, should kids be allowed to have their first phone?
Okay, let's talk
and then,
legally.
Then what do you do
yeah.
with, when do you start allowing Instagram? You know, the
Yeah.
laws with Facebook is to say about 13 years old, but then, you know, kids that are younger that do that. So what are your parameters?
Great.
Because you work with this every single day.
Yeah, so the law says a lot of Instagram, Facebook, and other big networks really don't want your kids online until 13 years old or older. I would argue that we are probably not ready for this until a little bit later. And let me tell parents, it's your decision when your kid gets online. It's your decision when you give them this device. But what I want you to consider is we, at smartsocial.com, we believe that this is a vehicle. This is a car. If you were to give your kids the keys to a vehicle at the age of 16, whatever the drivers nationwide.
We're talking about that tomorrow.
Right?
Too. Seriously, we are.
Yeah, and
Same
so
thing. It's deadly. It could be deadly.
Exactly. So let's talk about things that we already know and understand. We have wisdom around driving in the United States. It's awesome. We know that you have to have training. You have to be wise enough. You shouldn't be showing off to your friends. Your parents are maybe going to help you out to buy a little clunker, whatever that is, and you need to take good care of it before you can get another one. And driving is a privilege. So when your parents hand you these keys, parents, you should also have another set of keys. You probably would agree that you want to be able to go through that car and make sure their friends are not putting something illegal in the trunk. But also, even if your child is the world's best driver and they're safe, you probably wouldn't want them out driving in the middle of the night at midnight. Because they would say, no, Mom, you don't understand. I'm a safe driver. But you know the downside that there are other people online who do not love you as your kid as much as you do. And they may be distracted driving, drunk driving. They might be showing off to their friends. And they might just be hurtful people. So this is just like a car. Let's look at it like that. You're ready. Your child is not ready because of the law saying they're 16 or 15 with a driver's permit. Your child is ready when they're ready to be safe on the road or online. It really comes into how mature is your child. Now, some people use it as a babysitter. Here you go, you're 11, you get your own phone. And I understand it. If you're divorced, if you're separated, I then get to contact a kid, right? I mean, your child is then directly contacted by you. But that's our biggest thing, is when your child is mentally ready to be online. Another big tip is if you're going to give your kid a phone, don't let them sleep with it. Do not let them go to bed with it. Ask any psychologist. We have a podcast. I've interviewed 150 experts just in this topic. Psychologists, counselors, teachers, and everybody else. And we find that a lot of parents are letting their kids sleep with it. Now, one of the biggest things, if you do a simple Google, experts are saying that this device, social media, or Snapchat and Instagram, some of the most popular apps out there, and YouTube as well, the top 3 apps, right? TikTok being number 4 if you have a middle schooler or a teenager.
Yes, TikTok.
But if you look at those apps, there is an army of the world's smartest psychologists behind them, making them addictive. There's a whole army. And what kids don't understand is these devices, and make a simple Google search will show you this, these devices are being shown to be more addictive than cigarettes and alcohol, right? And we all know that those are very addictive substances, right? They're very hard to give up once somebody has experienced them. Then that's for adults. But when you give this to a child, typically, that child does not know how to put it down because they don't have the vocabulary, the understanding, or the wisdom that you as their mom would to know how to put it down, to know how to say, I think this is impacting me in a negative way. And when they don't know how to put it down and they sleep with that device, they're going to reduce the amount of sleep, the amount of rest they get, which the next day will cause what we call SAD, stress, anxiety, depression. Stress leads to, okay, I didn't do very good, but I didn't know why I was up late night. I got a buzz because of Instagram or Snapchat. And it leads down this dangerous role of, I didn't do well in school and somebody picked on me and I'm tired, and then all of a sudden it goes into a downward spiral. And it all starts with them sleeping with their phone.
Not a good idea. I mean, they even say health-wise, it's not good to have that close within 10 feet of their bodies because they're so new, we don't know enough about them with this Wi-Fi and everything else too. So I always tell my kids, it's got to be in the bathroom charging or in the kitchen charging or something. And a key that I've done, and I'm sure you would probably support this, when I got my kids their phones, the three of us have the same password. And I always said, I have nothing to hide. You can get into my phone anytime, but I want to be able to get into your phone anytime if I need to. And I'm not going to do it all the time, but I just want them to know at any time I can. And then the kids can get into each other's too. They're very loving and supportive, and if my son would suspect something or my daughter would, I want us to be able to be on board with the same thing. And I think it's important. And also I did a story last year with a couple students that committed suicide in an area, and the family felt sure that she was kind of bullied into it from a boyfriend, but they could not get into her phone. She had already passed away, but they needed to find this critical information. And so I just think it's important that we're all out there, and if you're giving this to your kid, you have the right of it still. Most likely you're still paying the bill. Most likely they're under 18.
100%.
And so I had a lot of rules, and that was the one thing too, that they felt it if I threatened to or did take it away.
Yeah.
It is the one thing I had power, instead of saying like no TV or no this. That was the only thing that I had that had a little bit of leverage.
A couple tips. You are a great parent. If your kids dislike you once a week or once a month because you've removed screen time from their life, I digitally applaud you. I am rooting for you.
Yes.
We, at this whole station, I can gently speak on their behalf. You're an awesome parent. If your kids don't like you, but you're doing what's best for them in the future, kudos to you. You're doing a great thing. Instead of being your kid's best friend, but instead parenting them, you're going to build a better child so that when they're 25 and they're an adult out in the world, we want them to be awesome, responsible, easy to get along with, and well-behaved. Number two, consider at a very young age, and you're going to find this super conservative, but at the age of 10, even before they're on social, consider having a social media contract with them. That means if you're at your best friend's house and that parent has an extra device, you are not allowed to set up a Snapchat without your mom or dad knowing. You are not allowed to get online and list all the apps or any other app. You're not allowed to do it. You come to us, you present to us, and it's a one-page contract that says, I will not do this. I will talk to my parents before I do this, and I know that my parents will delay me getting a phone by a year if that happens, right? Be a little tough on your kids. Now's a great time. It's called being a little difficult on the contract and then being your best. Life is just a little bit easier if you do that early.
You have a great website. Do you have that resource, the contract, that parents can go to your site?
Yeah, we do. And it's a simple Google search, but on smartsocial.com we have that. Absolutely. And what we tell parents is, as you know, you would never hand the keys to your two children if the day before they get their license, here you go, no training. One, you set a good example. You probably were a great, responsible driver with them in the back seat, just teaching them over several years. And number two, you had a talk with them. You had training wheels, or you rode in the car with them for a while. You made sure they know how to do that left turn thing that in California is very difficult. There's lots of cars. You know, you have to know how to be safe. And then it's a gradual thing, because kids will actually jump online way before you want them to be. So please, consider being prepared. Set up that contract so that you don't have to worry as much. You want them to come to you. You want to be loving, non-judgmental, but also parenting, firm at the same time. Parents, you have every right to have your kids' passcode. There should be, and you're going to think this is crazy, but the experts would agree, there is nothing that your 14 to 18-year-old should be doing online that you don't know about.
That's exactly why I told them that. There should be nothing you should be ashamed of me seeing.
And part of our big parent talk last night, and part of what the scary thing that we're seeing, is that predators, unfortunately, are clever. They go to where your kids are at. So they are on Snapchat, they are on Instagram, they are on every single app that your kids are at, and that's what's scary. First of all, you need to be on every app your kids are on. Do not give them Snapchat. And I know for people watching this right now, they're thinking, I don't want to be on Snapchat, Josh. This is what we get all the time. I don't have time for it. You know what? I couldn't care less. Fortnite, my kids are chatting with other people. It's fine. But as you're probably going to see, and you're going to see this in the news, unfortunately, a lot more, kids are not only unhappy, they're being bullied there, and they won't tell you. So you are the first line of defense. The only safety app in the world is you, the mom, the dad, or the protective adult that's looking out for these children. Please consider having their password. You bought the phone. You paid for the monthly bill. Just like a car, you would have an extra set of keys. You'd take that car away if you saw something bad. So do please consider. You've got, I'm giving you kudos if you're a good parent, and if your kids dislike you for a short while, once a week, once a month, we're rooting for you here, because it's important that you protect them first and you don't rely just on a school or another app to do that.
So if you're getting an eye roll, then way to go.
Yeah,
Right?
if you're, eye rolls should be part of your daily diet that you get from your kid. Absolutely.
Right. Do we have any questions for Josh at this time? If not, we've got a lot more to discuss.
A lot of people are listening to stories, taking notes, so a lot of good mornings.
If you're listening in right now, leave us a comment below. Let us know what one of your biggest frustrations is. Last night, and I'll tell you the hottest apps right now. Can I do that?
Please,
Okay.
Yes, we want to know.
So a lot of people think the hottest app, well, we all know that adults are on Facebook. Your kids are not on Facebook because they don't want to be where adults are at, right? They want access to Instagram because it's mobile first. Now parents are jumping on Instagram. Kids jump over to Snapchat, which is mobile first, and it disappears, right? We all know that works.
Stop there, because with the stories and the things that disappear, do they really disappear? And kids can still record that stuff.
Let's come back
to that.
So
they're recording maybe off another phone.
Yeah, you're 100%
but
right.
that could stay and live forever.
We're going to come back to that in one second, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no.
So it's really Facebook where all of us are at, and then it's Instagram, it's Snapchat, and then really the hidden network that no one talks about but everybody uses every single day is YouTube. Kids are spending an average of more than an hour to up to 3 hours a day on YouTube getting sucked in, and the reason why it's so popular, we think, in fact, YouTube outperformed Netflix last year with teenagers. And the reason is the videos are so short. They're so digestible, right? Whereas films used to be popular. We used to sit there for 120 minutes, 2 hours. Nobody has time for that anymore. And then Netflix became popular because you could go through Friends in 22 minutes. That's the average episode. And now the average YouTube video is 3 to 7 minutes. So your influencer that you're following, you have more connection, more chatting. Now kids are for hours at a time on YouTube. Now, let's dive into, is Snapchat safe and does it really go away? Is that fair?
Yep, that's fair.
Okay, great. Is Snapchat safe? Does it really go away? That's a wonderful question. We all know as adults, nothing goes away. If you send an email, if somebody sends an inappropriate email to us, we might have to forward it to HR. We might say, hey, we feel threatened, something's bad. We know as adults it's okay to do that. But we also know that nothing is private, including email and everything else. Because if it threatens us, it could be bad. The same is true for Snapchat. If something online could threaten someone, they take a simple screenshot. We all know how that works. When it's on our phone, it's 2 clicks. Yes, it does send a notification back to that student, but if it's inappropriate, if you have a younger daughter and you don't know this, but she may be asked for inappropriate photos, this happens all the time. We hear about this every day. Your daughter might be asked for inappropriate photos. She might be wise enough because she already talked to her mom on not to do that. That it could be somebody who isn't who they say they are. That's the first thing to talk about is, yes, it doesn't go away, but let's talk about what not to do. Do we share inappropriate photos of ourselves? No, right? And if you don't have that talk with your kids, no one else will. They may absorb it at school, but their friends who are less than wise might not know that. So, number 1, have that talk with what not to do. Number 2, go to Google and see what pops up, because the kids will go, whoa, everything's out here. I have a lot of work to do to build my positive brand. Things are online. And rather than you trying to tell them what not to do, they get a bigger picture of how the world works. Number 3, have access to their Snapchat. Be on Snapchat with them. Follow them. You can be passive. You don't have to post. But consider being on the same app as them and just watching what they're doing a little bit. If they want this phone, consider making sure that they know it's a privilege, not a right. Driving a car is a privilege. These roads that we're privileged to drive on. You'll get a letter from the government if you make a mistake. They'll say, hey, remember, driving is a privilege, not a right. Your access, your driver's license, it can be revoked. And at that time, you have to earn it again. The same is true with this car that we give kids, right? It is a privilege, not a right.
I love it. What are we getting? Some comments, thoughts, questions, anything yet?
A lot of people are just listening to those stories, taking down the tips.
Are there any apps for parents like that you could kind of observe what your child is doing?
Yeah, are there any apps that you could use to observe your kids? So first of all, and as a gentle plug, we have a free app that has resources. I have a whole staff in Los Angeles that works full-time keeping kids safe. And there are free resources. We reach about 1 million people a year. It's called Smart Social. You can download it in the iOS and Android. And it's a gentle plug because our company keeps kids safe and smart online in droves, if you will. We teach parents how to talk to their kids about this. So Smart Social, it's a green icon. It comes up first in both Android and iOS. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have a deep dive on TikTok, on Snapchat. We have a deep dive resource that you can use to keep your kids safe and talk with them a little bit more about how to either get off that app and what you should go to, right?
But if all their friends are doing now TikTok as the hot thing, how do you tell your kids that they can't be part of that?
Yeah, and I'm not saying they can't be part of it. What I am saying is building wisdom into them. So showing them their 5 to 10 year plan. Because if you don't talk to them about where they want to go to college, and if they don't have any idea, talk to them about their career. Also, have that cool uncle or aunt or anyone else, have them come to any cool company and get inspired. Do you want to be an engineer? What do you want to do? Do you want to help others? Do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be a nurse? Whatever that is, get them excited and touring and talking to people at a young age. A lot of times, students really just, they think that things are going to happen for them, that college will happen in a few years. So this becomes the pastime that just sucks their time.
I agree. I mean, the generation now is thinking like colleges are going to beg them to come. You know, you kind of you lose that. It's almost like a right. Hi. Do we have a show starting now that we need to do? No. Okay. All right, well, I want to go a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about like Life 360 and Find My Friends. Do you think that's a good idea?
We love Life 360 and Find My Friends. Those are great resources. So talk to your kids first. This is a privilege. If you, first of all, pick up when I call. But if you don't want to call more, let me load Life 360, which is a cross-platform, awesome app that we support and we like. And within reason, with your kids' permission, consider loading that. It goes on their Android or their iPhone or yours, and you can be on any phone you want, tracking them. I think it works online as well. Life 360 is free, and you can see the 24 hours of where they've been. And if you pay $2 to $5 a month, I don't work for them, but we do like this app because it's good to know where your kids are at. It'll also tell you if they're going over the speed limit, which is awesome. And it'll let you know if their car randomly stopped quickly as if they were in a bumper-to-bumper accident. We love Life 360. If you're an iPhone or iOS family, it is great to be on Find My Friends with them. That is an awesome resource. Sell it to your kids. Hey, if you don't want to talk on the phone, which we all know that it feels like if you're under 30, you don't want to talk on the phone. I'd like to call you less, but know where you're at. And you can know where I'm at as well. It's a two-way road. So you know if I'm home, you know if dinner's ready or whatever. Always answer my texts, always answer my calls, but I'll call less if I have the opportunity to know where you're at. One key takeaway. If your kids put their phone in low battery mode, and we all know that you can put it in low power mode to save battery, which is good because you want battery to last all day, it will sometimes turn off Life 360 and some of those other features. So be aware of that.
Oh, interesting.
Consider buying your kid on Amazon a $20 little backup battery, and as you're charging your phone at night, charge that backup battery. Have no excuses to know where your kids are at, right?
They can't say the phone died. Talk about direct messages, like personal messages, because that's a way for strangers to get in touch with your kids.
Absolutely.
And not necessarily 14-year-old strangers, but maybe 40-year-old strangers.
Most of the time we tell students, hey, look at all these students online. There's a 13-year-old boy, a 14-year-old girl, and we say, what do they all have in common? They're all this one man. He's 55 years old, and he's not who he says he is. He's pretending to be all these things, right? All these people. So talk to your kids and remind them, if they have not seen them at school, this person, if they haven't been around the dinner table at home, or if they're not my parents' friends, or if they haven't played with us in the front yard at home, they're probably not who they say they are. A little bit of skepticism, not negativity, but optimistic about the future, but skeptical about, is this person really who they say they are? And that's why it's great to go to Google and go to awesome journalists like you who are highlighting what might go wrong. Talk to your kids about that. And that way, when they're DMing somebody and they say, oh, I go to the school down the street from your school, that's a good thing to talk to your kids about. What if they don't? Could this be someone who's reaching out to students? we like to say that there's people out there who do not love your kids as much as you do.
Oh,
And
for
so
sure,
we
right?
tell kids that way it's a little bit more gentle, but it's okay, you as a parent, to scare your kids a little bit. Because if you don't, things can happen where your kids might not have that skepticism. They might think that everybody is who they say they are online.
What do you say about someone reaching out to someone and saying, hey, let's meet, I go to your brother's high school, or I go, how do you tell them that is never safe to do? That's never okay.
So first of all, we get calls all the time from this type of incident, as you hear, and
That's how some of the kids go missing.
that's how
you know,
kids go
you
missing.
You never know.
We got a call from a mom not long ago. I was remodeling my house, and I got a random Saturday call I picked up, and she said, hey, I'm one of your I do this, and we're in your newsletter. I discovered by getting into my child's direct messages inside of Instagram, do know that you cannot block off certain parts of the apps. It's all or none. A lot of parents ask that. But I went into my kid's direct messages, and my kid, the reason why I knew to go in there is my kid trusted the older brother to say, yeah, I'm going to go meet up with these girls. I'm going to get a girlfriend. This 11 to 13-year-old was so excited to meet a girl and actually do this with their best friend. And these people direct messaged and pretended like they were a girl, and they said, meet us at this park. And the kid was like, great, we're going to do this on this date towards the evening. Awesome, we're going to go meet these people. And this girl, who was actually an older gentleman online, said, yeah, we go to this other school. And they had befriended many of that student's friends. So there was overlap. Wow. It was social. It was very, very unusual. And remember, predators are clever and they're creepy. So please remember, we need to be one step ahead of them. So this mom said, luckily, that the older brother told her, hey, I'm away at college, but our 11-year-old, something's wrong. He's going to go meet up and do something weird. Do you know about this? So your other students and other friends of the family, parents, are your best line of defense as well, that dialogue. She looked into his phone. She caught this happening, handed it over to law enforcement. Law enforcement said, yeah, this is definitely a shady park. This is where drugs happen. It's close to a highway. It could have been an abduction. Wow. This happens every day. So it's important to have a dialogue with your kids, have access to their phones, know what they're doing. And one more last tip for us, because I know we've got to move on, and I want to thank everybody for watching today. Do consider sharing this. Comment below. Tag somebody in it, because we're here to save lives. It's more than just you looking out for your kids. It's you looking out for your community. One more important thing to note, it's not just about having access to your kids' Instagram that they give you. There's something called a fake Instagram, a Finstagram, a spam account, and students call them all of these. It's a second Instagram account that students will often use that's private, that their parents don't know about. And sometimes you may know about it, but they'll be more free to post because it has less followers. It's less about quantity.
Just their close friends, maybe they feel.
So they're close friends, and they call it a spam account because they want the chance to post silly stuff. Stuff it used to be just without their parents. Now parents might know about it. But if they have the ability in the app, in the official Instagram app, you have the ability to administer or manage up to 5 accounts in the official app, right? We're talking about one app. You can find that at the top or the bottom of the app. You can hold down their face and it'll pop up and you'll see more apps. We have more of this at smartsocial.com. It's important to note that your kid's Instagram account might not be their only one. And predators will actually get your kids to direct message on another account. They'll do really weird things and go, hey, open a new account and direct message us here. We can't see, we're having technical difficulties. Your kids will believe that. They'll open a new account and they'll start messaging this person. And students do this because oftentimes they'll tell their moms, hey mom, this person gets me. They understand me. You tell me what not to do, but this person really gets me.
Well, because they know how to find missing links in kids, and that's how they get.
So look through your kids' phones. Grab your kids' phone. Don't trust that they logged you into all their accounts. Really, you're doing a great job with your kids, saying you can get access to mine, and I want access to yours because I paid for this.
Yes, and because I'm your mother.
Exactly.
And heads will roll if
Genius.
this changes.
Right? I love that, yeah.
Well, even just, I did a new update on my phone, and Find My Friends disappeared. But I didn't know it was that. I thought my daughter deleted it or something, and so you have no idea.
Yeah.
And the text message that I sent her, when did you delete Find My Friends? Blah, blah, blah. And then I realized it went from yellow to green, and it was still there. I had to reboot it, and I said, "I'm so sorry." She goes, "Why did you ever think I would do that?" I said, first, if it's missing, I thought, how did it disappear? I know I didn't delete it, but
absolutely.
it was I'm taking the phone. Like, I already in my mind knew what I was going to do, but we do have to get tough on our kids for this stuff because it's so scary. And I do need to know where she is, and I do need to know that she's safe at school or when she's with her friends. They're really good with text messaging me, Mom, I'm here, I got to school, or we're at the football game. I still want to be able to see. I just do. It's that peace of mind. And I'm not crazy. I don't follow them around and track every single thing, but I just need to have that in the back of my head that they're okay.
Yeah, it is good to know where they're at. It's awesome. And big data knows where we're at. Apple knows. Google knows.
True.
And if your kids are saying, I want my privacy, sorry, the rest of the world knows where you're at. The bad guys might know where you're at. We need to make sure the good people, the people who love you more than anything in the world. Parents, you're the only safety app that's going to wake up at 3 a.m. and go, something doesn't feel right. The mom's intuition is always right. And always check in with some people. If you feel like, am I going crazy? Call your best friends, and they'll set you straight. But if they're like, yeah, that's a good value, absolutely go after it. Force your kids to do whatever you feel is right, or take the phone away. Yeah, use me as a bad example, but take the phone away and consider going to Google and looking up what bad things could happen.
Do you have a few more minutes?
Absolutely.
And before you go, I'd love to talk about bullying and how do you know if your kid's being bullied online? I mean, people can be so cruel, and they can hide behind their phones, they can hide behind their computers, and that's one way that kids are really getting other kids on social media, doing parties. So then they put on their stories all night, and then the kid's sitting home going, I'm excluded. They're feeling bad about themselves, and some kids love to do that to kind of rub it in somebody else's face. How do you make your kid feel like you said, shine online, feel good about themselves, even if they're getting bullied or negative comments?
So step 1 is safety. Step 2 in our curriculum is all about bullying. And what we do is we teach each student how to look out for each other. And we tell students, hey, this may never happen to you, but I want you to know that someday your friends might feel sad. They might actually not get enough sleep because your friends might not do what we do to take the phone out of the room so that you can get a full night's sleep. I know you're going to hate me for a minute doing that, but trust me, when you're older, we want to get you to where you want to go. And number 2, tell your kids about what could happen to their best friends. Have your kids look out for each other. If we look out for each other when we're in middle school and junior high, like we do as an adult, you can tell as an adult if someone's not having a great day. And you're probably going to go up to them and go, hey, how can I help? What's up? Do you need a hug? We need to teach kids that as well. And I know that they don't want to talk on the phone, and there's all these things that they don't want to do. They're real people. But we need to teach kids how to look out for each other. Right? They don't have to know every vocabulary word about what it's like to be sad, but it is important for them to know your friends may feel this way. Now, here's an important little tiny psychological way that your kids will listen more to that. If you tell your friends or your kids to be noble and look out for their friends, they're more likely to listen to you because they have something to do and it's not about them. You're not telling them what to do. You're saying, here's how to be an awesome person at school. And go, yeah, that is kind of cool. My mom is less... My mom isn't as uncool when she's telling me how to be nice to others as when she's telling me what not to do. So our goal is turn your kids into a little army of looking out for others. Your friends may be sad. Remind your kids these devices are more addictive, as addictive, if not more, than alcohol and cigarettes. Go do a simple Google. Show your students that. Don't just tell them. But hey, we want to make sure that you can manage this. We want you to be online. But the things that they do to adults and especially students might make us less than ourselves. And I like to call it less than my happy self. Also, parents, as a leader in this space, arguably I'm probably one of the top 10 in the country as I travel around, putting together an army of people helping others. I myself, as a leader in this space, take a 1-week digital detox. I delete all the apps on my phone. And in fact, I think I'm going to start doing it twice a year. But I take a 1-week digital detox. I announce it. I tell students to do it. We're announcing that on our website soon, that every kid should be off social, either during finals week or whatever that is. Do it with the family. Have a big party at your house, all their best friends over, and there's no social media. And they're going to think you're crazy. But at the end of it, students are begging adults to create a little bit of boundaries. Students are begging adults to say, oh, you took the phone away? I feel a little bit of relief. Now I can tell my friends, I'm not going to keep that Snapchat streak up. I'm not going to let myself get gamified. I'll get that full night's sleep. Your child at first will be angry with you. And that might mean because there's an addictive behavior, there's a withdrawal, just like drugs. It's exactly the same, what it does to our mind, when it lights up, if you go look at an MRI. But it's important. Tell your kids to look out for others, describe it to them, give them the vocabulary so they know how to deal with it. I'm seeing something in my friend, and what what that's going to do is that they're also going to see it in themselves. They'll go, whoa, now I see that in myself. I learned all about this. Make them a little psychologist, build out their knowledge about what could go right, what could go wrong, and then they'll be wiser indirectly so they can protect themselves as well.
Great idea, great information. My daughter, was interesting to note, and then we'll have to wrap things up, was on a religious retreat for 3 or 4 days, and they were not allowed to have their phones. And when they came back to the church and they all had to talk about their experience and share their experience, what the best part was, my daughter said the best part was not being with my phone. And it was the entire day when I picked her up, and even in the car, I thought she's going to want her phone because I had it. She's like, I don't want it. And she didn't have it the rest of the day, the rest of the night. And as you said, kids do crave that. It's so much going on. It's a lot of responsibility for them to be messaging each other, answering their Snapchats. That's how they do that. And so it is good for them. Take a break.
Yeah.
Take a break.
And they're begging for adults to help them to know when to take a break. Right?
Movie time, dinner time, when you're those moments with your kids, there should be no phone.
One last thing before we go. It would be doing a disservice to these tools if we didn't talk about the positives of that. So I do want to, when you're talking to your kids about where they want to go to college, career, major, get them to light up and dialogue about that around the dinner table, even though they don't want to. Get them inspired about that. And then do start, as you Google them online, do in middle school and junior high, consider building a private portfolio. You can go to Google Sites, which you have access to on your Gmail account for 100% free. Go into your Google Drive, click the new button, and it'll allow you to find Google Sites in there. Build a site with your kid. What are the 3 things you want to stand for? Is it volunteering at church camp? Is it music, football? And then you can start to build out a little website. We do this at smartsocial.com with thousands of people. We have live little Zoom video lessons with people all over the country where a mom or a dad and their child will sit down and we build a site live. And the kid lights up because they have a purpose online, building something. And then the mom's going, yeah, you are good at music. And you know what you're also good at? You want to add one more thing? Well, and they're trying to think about, well, I do this a lot. And now they have something to stand for. So that heaven forbid, if they're ever bullied at school, they'll say, you know what, that kid's having a bad day, but I know that my mom told me that I'm good at music, and I'm actually quite good at the clarinet, and in their mind, they know what they're good at, rather than relying on the pastime of all these influencers trying to be like them. They can be themselves. So do consider building a private portfolio online. You don't share your home address, but it starts to build something that in high school you launch and a college can find. Colleges are printing these out. They're taking these more and more. They're Googling kids. They're going, hey, this is a great 4.0 student. But also, we Googled you and we found this amazing little website that has your activities. They're putting that on the top of the thing, and they're saying, this is an outstanding student. We found this about you. Tell us more. We now see a 3-dimensional version of who you are. All of this is just about free online. And you can do it through Google, through Wix, through whoever you want. Let your child decide. But have them design their little tiny portfolio. Launch it when they're in high school. Don't share personally identifiable information, but you're better off, you're safer to have your kid build a website statistically. You're safer against predators with a website than you are with giving your kids Snapchat and Instagram unmonitored. Because that's where the predators are going to attack you, not on your website. They won't come to your home typically. They're going to try and groom your kid to go meet them. And that's our last step in high school. How do we build those great Google presence, those Google results, so that it comes up first?
Yes, all great information. I wish you could stay forever, but we have another show we have to get doing in 15 minutes.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. I'm just going to end real quick with a quote. I thought this was kind of fun last night. Thank God I don't have to hunt for food because I don't even know where tacos live. Right? It is Tuesday, so enjoy your tacos if that's what you're going to have. Enjoy in Chipotle. Yeah, how would you know that too, right? Enjoy your date. Josh Ochs, thank you. And we have given information too, resources on our website. You mentioned share it with your friends and especially have that talk with your teenager. It's so important. And then don't have that talk, have those consecutive talks over and over.
It's not a one and done.
Right, I said, how many times you have to ask your kids to brush their teeth or do things around the house? It's continual dialogue. Keep hammering at home. Drive them crazy. But they will thank you and love you in the end. So long. We'll see you tomorrow.